what mantra means? No? Okay. The word mantra actually means that which protects and liberates. That which protects and liberates. I now have to interrupt myself now. Sorry.
Oh my goodness! Yay!
Nice to see you all.
Nice to see you. We missed you.
Feels just...
Good to have you back and looking so good.
Yeah.
Phil was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. As you know, it's one of the most dangerous ones. About a year ago now. And he's been in London for 9 months. And he's just come home after all his treatment. And look at him. He's doing great.
I think it's worth another applaud.
And he's been so positive, and of course, behind every great man stands a beautiful woman. And that is his wife, Chandra, and she's been amazing, loving to look at, she just loved looking after him. You know, I tell you, when I saw my husband dying of cancer, it was horrible to watch somebody you love suffer, horrible to watch somebody you love go through chemo, horrible. I think it's easier to have the pain yourself than watching somebody else. And she's just been amazing. It's been so hard, and she keeps smiling, the both of them. He worries about her, and she worries about him. And this is perfect. You know, that's what relationships should be. You know, rather than, oh, don't you know I'm so tired, I'm looking after you all the time. People have become so selfish in our world today. And that's why there's so much sorrow and there's so much sadness, and no relationship works, because it's like last week we covered chapter 2, sloka 72, that said, when you think I, me, mine, there is no peace in a mind like that. But when you think we, us, a team, service, love, we're all come from one light, one place, then there is a kind of joy. There's a joy in sharing. There is a joy in loving. You know, there is a joy. Although it's hard. I mean, there are days you must say, oh, I can't take this. It's too much. Because I remember thinking that. But that's normal. We're human beings. We're human beings. Just because you have a bad day doesn't make you bad. We have all these preconditions in our head, all these preconceived ideas that we have to behave a certain way. But remember, all the time, we're human. We're allowed to make mistakes. We're allowed to have a bad day. So long as you don't grasp, as the Buddhists say, don't grasp. Oh my God, it was so evil. I thought that yesterday, you know. Oh, why did I think like that? But you know, I met a woman soon after my husband passed away. Hi, go in. Please help yourself to a chair or the floor. And she came to see me. She was sobbing her eyes out. Husband also was having cancer, but suffering for a lot longer. You know, nearly a year and a half, and very poor prospects. And then she said to me, you know, I'm evil, I'm bad. Because what makes you evil and bad? She said, you know, I came to see you because last week I actually had the thought that I wish he would be dead. Am I killing him? I said, are you crazy? Of course not. When you see somebody you love so much suffer and suffer day after day after day after day, and the doctors have told you there is no hope, because that's what they told her, he wasn't going to make it anyway. What do you want for the person you love? You want them to leave their body in peace. What's the point to live another 6 months if you're going to suffer so much? So all you were doing is not that you were a bad person. You were just thinking the best for him. And I could tell her that, because I remember 9 days before my husband had passed away, I knew he wasn't going to make it. And he was in such pain. And I gave him permission to go. I said, go, leave the body if you want. You know? I said, just give me notice. He said, how many days notice do you want? I said, 3. Do you know he actually told me on a Sunday morning, and he died on a Tuesday evening. So he gave me 3 days. I don't know how he knew it, but his soul knew it, you know? And really, this is what you go through when you go through life. And we unnecessarily think we are bad because we have a thought like that, because of what we've been taught. You know, just recently a friend I know has got, her mother is very sick in hospital, and old already, 85, you know? And she's going, oh, but my mother has to live. I said, why do you want her to live? She can't walk. She's 2 months in a hospital bed. She's on a respirator. What are you making her feel guilty to let go? And her mother is saying, let me go, let me go. And the child is saying, but maybe you still have life. Do you see how we cling? We cling. Sri Patanjali tells us in the yoga science, this is where we're ignorant. One of the glaciers, it's called, we're ignorant. We forget that we're all going to die. We forget. And that's the only thing in our lives we can be guaranteed that's going to happen. And we still forget. And so we cling. And when we cling, it's not bad or good. Nobody does anything good or bad, but it causes a lot of suffering. Don't you feel when you grasp onto something, you want to hold on and it doesn't want to stay, and you want to keep it? Oh, I'm losing my house, I'm losing. The more you hold on, the more you suffer. It's okay, it's inevitable. Try to accept it. It's painful. Of course it's painful. Accept. There's no other thing you can do, because by grasping, you just create the tension in your body. Of course you're miserable. Who isn't? You don't have to pretend to be brave either. You know, just be truthful to yourself. Always, always, always. When you are truthful to yourself, and you're not worried about what people think of you, you live a very nice life, because at least at every point, you're in harmony. And when you're in harmony, your heart feels one way, your mind thinks one way, your words speak what you think and feel, and then you act that way. Even though it's bad, you're still in harmony. But when you think one way, and you speak a different way, and you lie to yourself, you will never be in harmony. And we all do that because we want people to like us, to think we're strong or we're good. And that's why at the moment, when my husband passed away, yeah, everybody said I was great, but I told them right away, I feel the pain. It's not that I don't, I feel horrible pain. And I said, forgive me, because I never know when I'm going to cry. So I called myself Mrs. Waterworks. I said, I don't know when I would go to the supermarket to buy water, and I burst out crying. Poor lady. You know, she thought the woman at the till, what had she done? You know, Ollie comes to teach me a computer lesson because I knew nothing. And poor guy, 1 hour I'm sobbing. You know? But you just accept this is the way you are. It doesn't make you weak. You know, we all go through pain. It's normal. Doesn't mean just because you're spiritual, you're not going to go through pain, which is a fallacy. People think that we all spiritual people, beyond it all. Yes, we transcend the pain. Understanding it, by accepting it. It's painful, I accept it. You accept pain. Sri Patanjali tells us, when we accept pain and not cause pain to somebody else because we're in pain, a wonderful thing happens to us. We gain such spiritual strength. And with that spiritual strength, we gain what we call supernatural powers, he tells us. And what are those supernatural powers that we gain? The power of compassion. The power of compassion has moved the world through time. Look at people like Gandhi. Look at people who've just given love and compassion through their suffering. It's a gift. Look at Lord Jesus. Fasting. Forgive them. They know not what they're doing. He was in pain. He was bleeding. He was in pain. He didn't say, I'm not in pain. I'm really happy with all this blood coming down. He didn't say that. I am in pain, but forgive them, they know not what they do. 2,000 years later, the same philosophy is working for human beings. Why? Because acceptance helps us to move on. We all have to die. I remember once somebody asked my beautiful master in Bali, her daughter's friend died in a car accident. And she said, "Oh, Gurudev, why has she died in a car accident? You know, so young, 18 years old. Why her? Why this? Why that?" And he goes, "You know, we all come to this world. We all have to die one way or the other. Some will die by disease. Some will die by accidents. Some will die in their sleep. Some will die on a cruise liner. Some will die, as I say now, on, the Twin Towers. We don't know how we are going to die, but we do know there is a time for us all. So when you fight with yourself, why me, why this? There is so much stress and so much suffering. Can you change it? Can't change it. So find a solution always. Try not to say why so much, because the longer you say why, the more you suffer, and that's ignorance. Accept, understand, study, learn to help yourself. But why do you want to help yourself? Because you are the only person that you have to live in this body, in this life. And if you don't help you, nobody can. So why do you need to help yourself again? Because whatever little life we have, and even if you live 120 years, it's still little, you want to live it well. Heaven and hell are here. It's right here on this earth. When you leave this body, you're flying. There's no hell. It's all mind stuff. We'll go into that philosophy study later. It's all mind stuff. Heaven and hell are here. Even in the Lord's Prayer, it says, "Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." So where's your heaven? On earth. If you live that way, you make your earth a heaven. At the moment, of course, you turn on the news, everything is disaster, disaster, disaster. Everybody around you, like Kamala was saying today, credit crunch, this is going wrong. So the brain goes, everything's going wrong. The mind is going, everything is going wrong. And how do you feel? What's happened to you? You've been brainwashed. Everything's going wrong, choo-choo. But as Neil said today, we have a visitor from abroad as well. He said, "Well, all I have is this moment. If eating a chocolate cake makes me happy, I'm going to eat my chocolate cake." Simply. We think too much, we worry too much, we fight with ourselves too much, rather than just enjoy the flowers and enjoy the moment. Look at yourself now, what's happening now? Go back to now. Now you're perfectly capable, aren't you? So there's nothing wrong now. When trouble comes, it's going to be enough. You don't need to deal with tomorrow. It'll be there. We all have to face suffering, all of us. Nobody's exempt. But we also have joyful moments. So let's make our heaven while we can. As the saying goes, make hay while the sun shines. Because the rain will soon come. We had pouring rain yesterday, and look, all of a sudden the sun came out. It was quite lovely. As Kamala said to me in her email, the plants are so happy with the water. So happy, they were so thirsty. Okay, so now we go to chapter 3 of the Bhagavagita. Let me explain. How many of you know? I know I've gone through this, so forgive me those who do know, but I think it's important for the new ones. Who understand what the Gita is? Anybody does not know about the Bhagavad Gita? Okay, thank you. The Bhagavad Gita is a text that was written maybe 5,000 years ago or more. And it is about what we call Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna represents the higher self in us, or the God in us, or the God outside, whichever way you want to think it. Lord Jesus, Moses, whatever you want to think. the higher self, the higher voice, and Arjuna. Arjuna is living on this earth, and he's a warrior. He's a warrior. And he has to go to war with his family. And he doesn't want to go. I'll make it really short. If you want the full story, the background, I think it's on the internet, right? Ole will tell you where it is. So, and he doesn't want to go to war. For 14 years, he tried to make peace with his family. But they didn't want it. They were very greedy. They wanted, they weren't following the path of righteousness. They were liars. They cheated. They tried to take everything away from Arjuna and his family. So 14 years later, when he's done everything that they wanted him to do, he goes back to them. He said, now I've done everything. Now I want my land back. And his family says, no, you're not going to have it back. I'm not going to even give you, like the pinhead of land back. So Arjuna goes, I don't have a choice now. I have to go to war. Because if I don't go to war, what will happen? These people will take over the earth. So I have to do what is right. I'm only asking for what belongs to me and my family. I'm not asking for anything else. I tried to do it nicely and nothing worked. So he goes to Lord Krishna for advice. He goes to Lord Krishna for advice and he says to Lord Krishna, Lord Krishna, I need your help. I have to go to war. And Lord Krishna tells him, yes, now you have to. You have to go to war. But the other brother, his stepbrother, Duryodhana, who was the evil one, also went to Lord Krishna for help. He said, Lord Krishna, I've come to you for help as well. Should we tell the children to maybe? Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So, because you can hear them, they're distracted.
Girls.
Girls. Should I put them in my house and they can draw or something? Or do you think that's dangerous?
Can I do it?
Pardon?
Can I do it?
Can you do what?
Put them in your house because you're,
Yeah, would you like to do that? Yeah. Because it might be cold there. It's very cold.
After a while, sorry.
Yeah, I know.
Is it open this way, Nalanie?
I think it's opened. I don't think I've locked myself out today. I got my keys just last week. Last Tuesday I locked myself out of my house. We had to call a locksmith.
Oh no, really? Yeah, when you left.
And thank God she had a number here of a locksmith. How lucky am I?
Steve Blake for sure.
No, was really lucky. He laughed so much. It was such a funny thing to happen. So, what colors do that? So, Duryodhana also went to Lord Krishna for help. And he said, I also need your help. So Lord Krishna says, well, I have two things to offer you, both you brothers, because I can't take sides. He says, you have me, or you can have my armies. He had loads of, batteries of armies. So the Arjuna goes, oh Lord Krishna, I want you. I want you. Because what's the point of having the armies without you? And the other brother, Duryodhana, is thinking, what a fool. What's he going to do with Lord Krishna? I am so pleased he asked for Lord Krishna because I'll have the armies. I'm bound to win the war. And so they go into the battlefield. And this is where the whole Bhagavagita takes place. They go to the battlefield. And how many times in your life have you been in a battlefield with the people you love most? Not because you want to. You never chose to. But the battle is there, whether you like it or not. So Arjuna's in a battlefield, and Lord Krishna said, you have me, I will drive the chariot that you are on, but I will not fight, but I will be with you. And he drives him to the middle of the battlefield, and Arjuna looks across, and he goes, oh my God, there's my grandfather on the opposite side. How can I hurt him? There's my own teacher, Drona. Oh my God, he taught me how to be so good at archery. how can I hurt him? And then he's at the battlefield, and he's shaking, and his limbs are going weak, and he's lost his courage, and he goes, oh Lord Krishna, I cannot fight, I cannot fight, I cannot fight. Why can't I go to the mountains? Why can't I hide? Why can't I meditate all day? Why do I have to fight this war? And then Lord Krishna tells him, well, it's come to you, whether you like it or not. You're a warrior. Your job in life is a warrior. If you don't protect what is good and right, who will? Who will? If you let them take over, what will the earth be like? It'll be overrun by cheats. I know your grandfather's on that side, but that's because he's been living in that house with them for so many years. How can he not come to you? The last 14 years they've been feeding him. So you see, it gets very complicated. Many times on this earth, people come to me, oh, my mother's done this, my father's done this, and I try to make peace and they won't, and I have to argue, and they're very confused as what to do. They get so emotionally involved, and I tell them, this is how you do it. Do it with love, but you have to be truthful. You have to be direct, and you have to tell them that they have hurt you, that what they've done is wrong. But do it with great love. And maybe they can't do it, so they have to practice and practice getting strong, having the courage. And this takes time. So the whole Gita the whole book is Lord Krishna giving advice to Arjuna how to go into battle. Now, before I go into chapter 3, which is the chapter on karma yoga, yoga of action, you know, the biggest battle that we all have to fight is not really with anybody else, but with our own selves. You know, yesterday somebody came to see me, and she said, you know, I think I'm a really bad person. Sometimes I get so angry with my husband, and I say such horrible things. Am I sick? Am I evil? Am I bad? And I go, no, we all have a demon, and we all have an angel. What's happened is you've had no guidance. So you are living the demon every day. And while you're living the demon every day, the words that come out of your mouth are hurting so many, your husband, but more than that, forget about him. He's killing you. Look at you. You can't even live with yourself. What's the point to live this life if you have no peace? We can't change your husband, but you can change you. You have so much good in you. It's just that so many bad things have happened. You haven't had a mother to guide you or a friend to guide you. So all I'm saying is, I think you're an angel. So let's build up your angelic side. Let's start to see all the good things you are. To start, you're pretty intelligent to get help when you're so miserable. Most people will be too proud. That's just that. She said, oh, I thought I was weak. Is it a strong person will ask for help? A weak person thinks he knows everything already. I don't need anybody to help me. I know it all. Arrogant too. Pride. You can't do it? You know, you want to learn something, don't you go to classes? You want to learn to sew, you go to a tailor. You want to learn to play the piano, you go to a musician, right? So a pianist. You won't go to the temple to learn to play the piano. You know, so of course, so when your soul is suffering or your mind is suffering, you go to somebody who works with your mind. Simple. If your spirit is hurting you, in her case, she felt she was just not a good human being anymore. She just didn't like herself. She labeled herself as unkind, evil, whoa. And all I saw in front of me was this lovely girl that was in so much sorrow. So much sorrow. And she couldn't see who she was anymore. So by the end of the hour, she was smiling and she was laughing, and she decided to see all the nice things that she was. And I said, she says, but my husband always tells me I'm like this, I'm not good enough. I said, why? Why would he tell you that? Didn't you just tell me you thought you were evil? You are projecting these images out to him without even realizing. You do not defend the good you are. You allow yourself to be manipulated. So of course, if you allow, he's also ignorant. He'll take advantage. So when he's not doing well, it's your fault. You take the fault, even though it isn't yours. What have you given him? Carte blanche to punish you. Every time he's miserable, your fault. Because you're weak, because that's what your soul's saying, I'm not good enough, so he's telling you you're not good enough. But if you start to respect yourself, he will start to, he doesn't have a choice. Sooner or later, either he will respect you, or he can't handle your goodness and he'll walk away, in which case, done for you. You don't have to worry about leaving him or staying. Done. Just fix yourself. So the whole Gita is such an ancient text, but it still applies to all of us today. These are the battles the human beings have, always struggling to find the highest we can be. And why are we so afraid to be the best we can be? Because we're scared. What if I'm doing this wrong? What if somebody's going to call me evil? What if this? What if that? We just don't see the action. Stick with what we know and follow our highest instincts and go with it. So many times we do actions because we're so fearful. But if we just follow our gut, we'll be guided. And this is the whole Gita telling us how to follow our higher self. There is, we say this energy or God or Jesus is everywhere, everywhere. We came from it, the Big Bang. We came from it. So it divided itself into mountains, trees. It's just that human beings have a very high vibrational center, because we are the only species on this earth, that can decipher information, that can go to our highest. The animals can't. They have the soul, they have the mind, they can't do much more with it. That nature's mercy. But we can co-create with this energy. That is the magic. Now either we go down to our lower self, which is, I need, this earth is just for me, very selfish, oh poor me, all day long, and live a miserable existence. Do it if you like, it's your choice. It's not good or bad, it's just your choice. Or we can aim at the highest we can be. And like Swami Chinmayananda, he's a wonderful master as well. And he said, we were born to be Superman and super women. Born to be angels. But we've sold our birthright for a little pleasure. And it doesn't even make us happy. We've sold our birthright. And this is why I say when you accept pain early on, you develop a spiritual strength and force, which is our birthright. And then we can see beyond pain, beyond pleasure. And then you vibrate with that wonderful high energy, call it God or whatever you want. But you really live a magical life then. And that's the idea of these talks, so that you have the knowledge. When you have the knowledge, you can help yourself. And I always say the only person that can really help you in the end is you. You live in your mind, I don't. You live in your body, I don't. And all these masters are telling us, get the knowledge. Once you get the knowledge, then you know what to do. But getting the knowledge is not enough. Because then you fill your mind, I'm so smart, you develop a big head. You also have to develop a kind heart. You also have to develop compassion to go along with that knowledge. You also have to be humble and not proud and accept life and what it gives you. And that takes time. That takes time. So if you make a mistake, don't worry. Get up. Look at a toddler. How many times it falls and then one day suddenly it walks. Just walks. And we're the same, if not more. If not more. And that's the knowledge to use, not to just sit here, listen, feel happy for 1 or 2 days and come back again. No, use this knowledge in your life. Practice, practice, practice. Ask, question. Never follow anything blindly, because you will not have faith in it. If, you know, when I first read this text and I read the Yoga Sutras of Sri Patanjali, I go, you know what, I don't believe. Can't be that easy. I thought it was easy. But then I said, you know what, I'm going to read it. Because I saw my master, he had achieved it. And he says, if I can, you can. We all got guru in it. Okay, I'm going to practice the science. So I took the Yoga Sutras of Sri Patanjali, really studied it so much on my own, even before I took the course, every day. I don't understand this. I don't understand this. What is it telling me? Okay, it says, by one who practices non-violence, all hostility cease. So I said, okay, I'm going to practice non-violence in my life. So every time I was about to say something harsh, learn to hold back. And really, I noticed that so many bad things didn't happen to me anymore. Everything was better in my life. Everything was calmer. Then it says, by the practice of truthfulness, all nature becomes subservient. All nature will serve you. Really? And I practiced it, I remember, for just about 2 weeks, really practicing. And every time I told even a white lie, I'd say, put a cross in my mind, I've done it again. Why do I have to tell even a white lie when it has no purpose? You know, you can tell white lies, it's going to save somebody's life, but just to make it up, you know how many times we exaggerate without even thinking? So I thought, oh my God, I do this all the time, so untruthful. Just a few weeks practicing, I think in my head, I never forget this, I think I've told this story so many times, really affected me. I'm in Gibraltar, and I'm sitting down in my sitting room thinking, I would just love an Indian mango. Any of you tried Indian mangoes from India? They're delicious. And my favorite fruit is mango. In those days, Spain didn't have mangoes, nowhere had mangoes. I really would love an Indian mango. 2 minutes later, my doorbell rings. This young boy comes in. Oh, Auntie Nalanie, my auntie came from India and she told me to bring you this Indian. And look at this center, how it's built. I remember when I got this property for a very good price, I thought, well, I can't afford, this was a terrace, by the way, I can't afford to build this. So I talked to the workman, I said, how much is going to cost? He said, around 85 to 90,000, can't do it. Never mind, we'll do the satsangs, we'll collect the money, 5, 6 years, like we built the Gibraltar Centre, I'll collect, and we'll build this. 1 month later, my uncle says, Nalanie, you do so much charity, but you know what? I want to build that hall for you in my brother's name. George Harilela is my dad, passed away in 2006. I loved my brother, and I want to build that for you. How does it happen? I didn't ask. It's odd, you see? So when you do you want to serve, you want to give, it's like all the universe comes to help you to spread the message. It's really like that, because I really just wanted this hall to serve. I really don't want anything else. And I'm getting older, had a few sicknesses in my life, and I thought, I travel so much. It'd be so nice not to have to travel every day by car to go here. I've been doing it for 20 years, going to Marbella, going here, going there. It'd be nice to have a center where it can just come to. And guess what? I got it. So what I'm trying to tell you is I practice these truths for now 20 years. So it's experience. And faith only comes from your own experience. So whatever is said here, it's not my knowledge. It doesn't belong to me. It's ours. It belongs to the world. It belongs to everyone. This is taught in Cambridge and Oxford because it's such an incredible text. All the greatest philosophers, German, Swiss, whatever, have quoted the Gita. Gandhi said there were 2 books he couldn't live without, and that was the Gita and the Sutras, Yoga Sutras of Sri Patanjali. Look what great people they became. So this is the text that we are working on. Okay? So it's powerful. But it only becomes as powerful as you know you are. So you have to understand. And then use that power for good, for righteousness, for good.
Key ingredient, I think.
Yeah, for good. Use it selfishly, it may just burn in your hands. Like Duryodhana wanted the armies. He had all the armies, but in the end, Arjuna won. Because he had the higher self on his side. Good always overcomes
Does he
evil.
win then? I don't think we ever got to the end.
No, because it doesn't tell you. It doesn't tell you in detail.
No, I don't think we ever will.
You're truthful. You're truthful. Okay, so I should go a little faster.
You said last week we can do this faster.
We have a few new people today. That
I know.
I'm sorry. I keep repeating myself.
No,
Forgive
you know,
me.
because obviously we need it.
Forgive me. Okay, I'll go faster now. I have half an hour. You watch.
You challenge them. Now she goes faster, we don't get it.
And it gets so hot in here, and then it's like, oh, hot and cold. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Chapter 3, Karma Yoga, the yoga of action. So, now Arjuna is asking Lord Krishna, since you teach that the path of wisdom is better than the path of action, Krishna, why are you encouraging me to do this terrible act of war? In the previous chapter, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that you have to be wise, know who you are. So in the previous chapter, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna to know who he is. First of all, know who you are. And what does he tell him he really is? Who remembers? What does he tell him?
Knowledge is absolute.
What does he tell him? More than that. He says, guess what? You are the self. Weapons cannot cut it. Cannot cut your spirit. Winds cannot dry it. Water cannot wet it. Fire cannot burn it. That's who you are. Your body is like a garment. And he tells him, just as you give away your worn out clothes, so when the body is old, you will give away this body and get new ones. But you will never die. You are immortal. All the scriptures tell you we are immortal. So I don't know where this heaven and hell forever came from. Man-made, I think. You're immortal. You have millions of chances of getting it right. You're immortal. There is no punishment. There is just not. Punishment is here. We punish ourselves. So he says, know that. Know who you are. That's the first lesson. The body is just your equipment. The world, your field to work, where you learn about your spirit. That's who you are. So that's what chapter 2 is telling him. Then he explains how to understand that he is actually spirit and the true self. And here he said, okay, Arjuna is a very good student, clever. You're telling me that I'm the spirit, and you're telling me wisdom. Now, why are you telling me to do the war? After giving me such a nice lecture about Jnana Yoga, you are now telling me to fight. And I am confused, he says, by what seems to be a contradiction. Please tell me a sure way to attain the highest. Please, I am confused. The Blessed Lord answers, Arjuna, in the beginning, I gave the world a twofold path. The way of discerning and the way of selfless action. He's saying, from the beginning, I give you people a choice. You can follow the path of wisdom. You can also follow the path of action. Karma yoga is the path of action. Karma means cause and effect. Karma yoga is action. Alright? The kind of what you do in your life, your work. And he goes and explains to him, ceasing to do things will not make you actionless, nor will you rise to perfection simply by renouncing actions. He's saying, just by stopping, saying, I want to fight, just by stopping what you're doing, it's not going to actually give you any peace at all. It's not going to give you peace. You think it might run away from a problem, does it give you peace? Doesn't give you peace. Something is in your head and you have to do it, you have to do it, right? If you don't do it, you don't get peace. Until you do it, you won't get your peace, right? So he's saying just stopping to do it is not the answer. And he's saying nor will you rise to perfection simply by renouncing action. So you can't also go into denial. You won't get better. If you avoid issues in your life, do you get better? You have to face issues in your life. By avoiding, I don't want to face it. And so many people do this. I see this in so many relationships. So many relationships. It makes me so sad. They avoid issues. Avoid till one day they all explode. And I'll give you a story here. I remember when I first started doing counseling, I had this lady, been married 35, 40 years, whatever it was, came to me and said, 65, I'm going to leave my husband. So I said, okay. She said, I need help to leave him because I want to leave him. So I said, okay, do you love him? I think so. Okay, interesting. What has he done so wrong that you want to leave him? He's 65, where are you going to start again? Unless he's really bad to you. Is he really bad to you? No, he looks after me, he feeds me, I don't have to work, I get my clothes, I get everything. But, she told me, every time he gets in a bad mood, he breaks things. He starts breaking things. That's what he does, throws things on the floor and starts breaking things. So I asked her, okay, how long has he been doing this? Oh, since we got married. How long is that? 35, 40 years, whatever it was. And I go, and what did you do when he did that? I took a broom and swept it up. I said, what? I said, my husband did that to me. I told him to go pick it up himself. Buy me a new one on top of it. Why would I condone? It's a bad action. Why did you accept it? Why didn't you stop it from the beginning? She goes, I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to create any anger. You know, I didn't want to create any anger. And I said, you didn't want to create any anger, but look what you've done to you. I said, does he know you feel like this? This is 35 or 40 years later. No. So what has he said when you don't want to leave? He's in shock. He's crying every day. I said, and you haven't told him the reason? No, I told him I just couldn't handle him anymore. I didn't want him anymore. I go, okay, maybe you still have to leave him. I don't know. I really don't know because I don't know him. But it sounds like your perception is all wrong. Will he come in and see me? Yeah, but I can't tell him anything. I can't tell him the truth. Don't tell him. I said, just bring him in. She brought him in the following week. Sat them both together. He looked like such a nice guy. Honestly, I was really quite surprised. So anyway, finally I got them to talk. And I said, tell him why you want to leave him. So you might get angry with me. I said, no, I'm here to protect you. He will not hurt you or throw anything, I said. So she actually told him. Do you know what he said? Why didn't you ever tell me? I said, why didn't you ever tell me? You haven't told me once. I said, you know what? I think you both have a lot of talking to catch up on. So I advised them to go for a romantic dinner, no blaming, just communicating and talking. And I give them some things to every time they got into denial. It was either they split up forever or may fix it. The choice was theirs. Anyway, a few weeks later, they told me they were going to go on their real honeymoon. A few months later, I was still working in a shop in those days, and they sent me this huge bouquet of roses and a card saying it's the best time they've ever had in their life, and they're really talking. And all it was, not renouncing actions. Do you see? And then I learned so much about human nature and how we just, I don't want to create any problems, so you know what, I'll just keep quiet. It's bothering me, push it down. I won't act. I'll just be the sweet wife or the nice husband. Doesn't work. If you don't feel like the nice husband, growl back. You need to growl back, not tickle the pain and say, that's not speaking up, fighting for you. You need to fight for yourself. If you don't, who will? And look, they couldn't remember what they can do for you. Ask what you can do for them. And prior to learning the science, I used to say to my husband when he was about, I want this, I want this, I want, and he used to answer me, all you do is want. And I couldn't hear it, But when I started to meditate and watch myself, and I changed. So obviously when you want, there's always arguments, right? And I changed, and I said, darling, what can I do for you? What should I make your favorite dish today? What do you like? What can I do to make you happy? What can I do to make you smile? What a joy came from him. So just let me make you smile. What can I do to make you smile? Make your day better. And his whole attitude it became putty in my hands. Honest. It's true. You watch it. You do it with people. You do it with children. Go fix your bed. Blah, 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 blah. Sorry, argument, fighting. Darling, I tell my grandkids, what can I do for you today to make your day better? I go out to the kitchen, I go back to my bedroom and fix my bed. Thank you, guys, that's such a nice surprise for Gran. And they'll do another surprise. Oh, but Gran, we didn't want you to see. Do you like that? We're not so neat as you because you like it really flat. I said, that's brilliant. And it makes them feel good. Do you see? Because why? I'm asking, what can I do to make you happy today? Granny, can we play Ludo? Absolutely, promise. After breakfast, we play Ludo. Then you keep your promise. And then they'll do anything for you. And we promise kids this, and we promise them. We're so involved in our own world that we don't do what we promise them. And we are children ourselves. We're children ourselves. So this is what happens. And see, it's all kind of learning about how we action and reaction. Ask, what can I do for you? And he says, when you're engaged in selfless service, karma yoga, you become happy. Because one thing, you're not thinking about yourself. The bonus is that somebody else does something for you. And if they don't, it doesn't matter. Because it's really nice to do a good deed anyway. You know? It's nice, some people used to say, why do you want to do a good deed when somebody will that's ridiculous because they may laugh at you and call you a goody-goody or call you a hypocrite. So that's their problem. They can call me what they like. If I do a good deed, it makes me happy. I live with myself. I don't live in their minds. They want to insult me. That's their problem. I learned that from my father, who this hall is named after. My brother used to tell him, Dad, one day my brother was talking to my father, why are you such a fool? And I was like, oh, my father. And he said, this guy came to you, and don't you know he's a crook? He asked for money, and that one, and this one, and you just help everyone. And then nobody pays you back. They're all crooks. And my father laughed. He just laughed. He said, I don't think like you. I think I had nothing and God gave me everything. So when God enters the door and asks me for help, I give it to them. If they do wrong, is their dishonor. I haven't dishonored anyone. I can help. God came through the door, so I helped God. If the human mind is dishonorable, they have to live with themselves. Why should I take on their karma? And I must have been about 14 or 15 at this time. And you know, when you hear something so powerful and watch your father do that and live that way all your life, it has a great impression. I don't know any human being as happy as my father was, only Gurudev, the two people I've met in my life, my father and my mother, always joyful. They didn't worry about what people did to them. And another thing he taught me was the law of abundance. Because I traveled with him to India. And I remember him and Mom were making all these packets every night with rupees, thousands and thousands of rupees. And every day they would give these rupees to the poor, to this, to that, to that. So one day I asked Dad, you're going to be thousands away. I know you're quite wealthy, but then you'll have nothing left. Your children, none of us are very wealthy. You know, you help all of us too. He helps all of us, you know, throughout our lives. He was really a good dad. And you know, one of his children lost 6 million, another lost this, and another lost that. So much money he lost in his life. Never complained. And I said, Dad, what will happen? None of us can look after you and Mom. At the moment, maybe one day I become rich and I can, well, what are you going to do? And he burst out laughing. And he said, Nalanie, don't you know that the ocean is abundant? All I'm taking out is one bucketful. So he didn't look upon it as his money. He looked upon it, the ocean is abundant. The universe is abundant. All I'm taking out, okay, maybe this has come through me, is one bucket. And true to his word, he gave everything away. So that was my father. So, you know, you learn these great lessons and you don't forget them, and they make great differences to your life. Great differences to your life. So the law of abundance. Never feel because you do a good deed that you're going to be poor from it. You're going to be, wow, abundant. All right? And then he goes to say, how am I doing, Kamala? 24/7, I'm doing eight slokas. Better than 2 at each sloka. And then he goes. So selfless service, all right? So when you're caught, just to finish that sloka, when you're caught in I, me and mine and you're really feeling like, oh my God, I'm miserable, and you can't help it, think, at that point, use this tool, karma yoga. What can I do for somebody else? Does somebody need help? Let me get away from my mind, because my mind is drowning me. I'm drowning me. I am drowning me. Let me get away from this mind. How can I let me do a good deed for someone, just to get away. See somebody else happy for a change instead of myself. I'm breaking my own head all the time. Me, me, me. It's not making me happy. So let me do something else. Use that tool. It's quite miraculous when you use that tool, all right? So we'll go to the next one, sloka 8. Do your duty. Such action is better than doing nothing. If you attempt to renounce all actions, it will be impossible to maintain your body. He says, just do what you're given to do. Stop complaining. Do your duty. Better than doing nothing. If you do nothing, then you cannot maintain your body. Why? The body will die. Because your body, you have this body in order to do certain actions. You have a mission. We all have a mission on earth. Now, if you don't want to face your mission because it's too difficult, or it's too hard, or it's too much for me, and you say, I'd rather do nothing, I'm going to give up, then the body has no reason to live. You will lose it. Because there's no reason to live. Got it? Okay, so we go to the next one. The world is bondage when actions are just done for your own sake. I've already explained this. When you think I, me, mine, the world becomes like you're in a prison. You become like in a prison, definitely. Therefore, Arjuna, make every action a sacrifice, utterly free of personal attachment. Now, the word in English sacrifice, unfortunately, has a very bad connotation. In our language, sacrifice is very beautiful. It's not a horrible thing. You know, you sacrifice your sleep when your child has a fever at night. You sacrifice your time when your husband is suffering. Does it feel bad? It makes you feel proud of you, doesn't it? So, you know, in Western language, sacrifice, oh, I'm sacrificing. You think it's a horrible thing. It's not. It's actually very wonderful. It makes you feel very good. My husband and I sacrificed many holidays when we were young to give our children the best education. Do you know what? He was the best father in the world. He always wanted a Mercedes. He never had it because the kids were in the best boarding schools. And do you know what he said when he died? The best thing I've ever done, we have done together, is to educate our children. Look, at a time of need, they were stars and still continue to be stars for me. Always around when I need them. And when I don't need them, they do their own thing, I do my own thing. It's a really perfect relationship. It's both ways. So, you know, people nowadays don't want to make sacrifices. So they don't get the results. It's all about I, me, my time, my this, my that. And then I say, why are my children selfish? Well, watch the example. You were the example, that's what they learned. You wanted to have all the parties. You want to leave the kids with the maids, leave the kids here. Fine, of course. Your kids are going to go on drugs, going to do this, that. Don't come crying. You taught them that. You never had time for them. You know what young people tell me all the time? They never had time for me. There was a brother and a sister that I saw, I'll never forget. The parents came crying, my children don't want to know me, but know us. I don't know why, we worked all our lives for them. So the kids came in with them, said, we don't consider them our parents. We consider my grandparents my parents. I want to live with my grandparents. I'll do anything for my grandparents. What did they do for me? They were never around when we came back from school. They were never there to listen to our problems. They were too busy. And then the mother said, no, but we worked for you. No, you worked for us. What did you do for us? Give us things. You never spent any time with us. We want to stay with our grandparents. We don't want to live with you. You're not our parents. So sad, right? And the parents felt, oh, well, all we did is work for you. So, you know, this is, you really taught me so much about human nature. The work I do has taught me so much about cause and effect, action and reaction. It really comes back to you.
There used to be a great ad on Spanish TV about if you want your child to be fit, do exercise yourself. If you want your child to eat healthily,
Eat
careful
healthy
what
yourself.
you eat at the table. And if you want your child to read, pick a book up yourself, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm not sure what it was, what they were advertising, but it had a nice feel to it, you know.
Yeah.
And it's true, because we moan about the kids, but we're not setting the example.
Yeah, correct. And even about relationships. We moan about our own relationships. But, you know, yeah. For example, I always give this story. I used to tell my husband before yoga, oh, why are you so grumpy? Why are you so grumpy? And look at my face while I'm saying that. Just look at it. And then when I started yoga and could see myself, because before that I really was in ignorance, I didn't know. And then I decided, consciously change the chair. So tomorrow I'm going to get up in the morning and I'm going to say, I'm going to give him a name, Mr. Cheerfulness. So I got up the next morning with a big smile, gave him a big kiss on his lips, and I said, good morning, Mr. Cheerfulness. Do you know what? He was never grumpy again.
He was never grumpy again. You had a miracle of a husband, Nalanie. He sounds like he was a miracle of a husband.
He was never grumpy again in the morning.
Oh.
He used to get grumpy quite a lot. But in the morning, he stopped. Because the morning is my best time because I meditate in the morning. So after meditation, my mind is on a very high par.
But it's funny because even how you must have said it must have been good, because that could have sounded sarcastic. Good morning,
Yes.
Mr. Cheerful, but because like you say, you had the right mindset, he did not take offence because you were coming from the right place. That's also important.
Yeah,
Yes,
because I
yeah.
really realized that I was the one who was grumpy. I really realized it. There was no more blame. Do you see? I really realized it. It's a realization that I had never realized before. And that's the truth. If you speak from a place of truth, it works. If I had said, oh, good morning, Mr. Cheerfulness, would not have worked, because he could have sensed that I haven't learned my lesson. You know? So it just works. The soul is so smart. The soul is so smart. And after creating, slogan 10, after creating humankind together with sacrifice, the Creator said, through sacrifice you will increase yourself and get everything you want. After creating humankind together with sacrifice, the Creator said, through sacrifice, you will increase yourself. You will make yourself bigger and get everything you want. Like I told you in these stories, sacrifice your anger, and what will you get? Peace. Sacrifice your greed. What will happen? You become content. Do you see, sacrifice is not a bad word, it's a wonderful word. So I will finish with this sloka, 10 slokas.
Well done.
So,
It improves our relationship with everybody.
yeah.
Which
And
is, I
it-
think, the aim for the...
We only as humans got each other. Our world has become such a horrible place today, where we've forgotten to be kind. We've stopped becoming caring. We are taught, the whole last generation, have lots of money, do it for you, be selfish. That's what's been happening the last 20, 30 years. And all I have seen are those people happier. And where, hi there, I'm just about to finish.
Just come to say hello.
Yeah, come sit down. You know, and where, and that's, the whole goal of yoga is to live a good life. Peaceful, useful, easeful. That's the goal of yoga, really simply. It's really very simple. Do good, be good. Of course, it's easy to say it, but it takes lots of years of deconditioning. All the things that we have been taught by media to cheat, to lie, to get your way. It's become so normal. And it doesn't make people happy. You know, I was talking to a couple of students who are a little disturbed because they're in the UK studying, and they've been coming to yoga for a long time, and they practice these truths, and they're normally glowing. And they said to me, you know, we live in a student house, and it makes us really, we feel so low in energy there. Nalanie, how can we do this? And why? So, you know, the people we live with, some of the girls, they all have boyfriends in different universities. And we see every night, they're in a different man. There's no sense of loyalty. There's no sense of
value.
Yeah, values, nothing. And on top of that, they're never happy. They're always swearing at each other. The house is a mess. They have no self-respect. And I said, you know what? You just can't, you just be the example. What's happened is they've learned by example. So if you become this example as a couple, and they see how you're glowing, and how you're happy. Don't just fall into their misery, they're miserable and you're living around them and you get sucked into it. You stay happy, you stay joyful, and you can keep up with your truthfulness. By themselves, they will see that you have something they don't. They might want something better for themselves. And you know, this, can you blame these kids? It's not their fault. It's not anybody's fault. It's life. So now we are living in a generation where we have the intellect to change things. And I really, really, really believe that we have this responsibility first to do it ourselves, fix ourselves, and then as beacons we can help the world to be a happier place. At least give more good vibrations out. I don't think we can do much more, but we can do that. And we can spread the virus of kindness and goodness. It really makes a difference. It really makes a difference when you're kind to somebody. Really makes a difference. They don't forget. Many years later, I've had people stop me on the streets. You helped me with 20 years. I don't even remember them. I'll never forget you as long as I don't even remember what I did for them. They haven't forgotten the kind act. I did, but they hadn't. It said change their lives. And then the first thing I feel when they tell me that is, wow, thank God, thank God, I'm so grateful that I've been useful in this life. Because what else can you do in this life? The body's going to go. Everything I have is going to go. What else can I leave behind? Some sunshine, some laughter, some goodness. And then I feel I've done my job. I've made my hell on earth into a heaven. And that's what we do with this kind of philosophy. And that's why I love to share the Gita.